Welcome, and thank you for standing by. All participants will be able to listen only until the question and answer portion of today's conference. To ask a question, please press star 1. Today's conference is being recorded. If you have any objections, please disconnect at this time. I would now like to turn your conference over to Ms. Erlene Dowell. Ms., you may begin.
Thank you, Julie, and thank you to Lisa Glover from the U.S. Census Bureau for hosting our webinar today. On behalf of the U.S. Census Bureau and a partnership with the Council for Community and Economic Research and the Labor Market Information Institute, welcome to our first LED webinar of 2020. It is with great pleasure that I introduce one of our esteemed presenters from the 2019 LED Partnership Workshop, Vivian Zheng, as she presents how to use big data systems to democratize LED and other census data. The data science team at Urban has developed a big data system that allows researchers to easily access and analyze LED data. In addition, the team has used the system to create national summary files of the LED data at the tract and place level. In this presentation, Zheng will discuss the systems built to read and process the data, why it's valuable to the researchers, the use cases seen so far from our researchers and partners, and how researchers can access the summarized data. Vivian Zheng is a data science analyst in the Office of Technology and Data Science at the Urban Institute, where she works with researchers to improve access to data, analytic tools, and innovative research methods. Zheng is programming expert with experiences in natural language processing, machine learning, big data processing, web scraping, and open data portal management. She holds a Bachelor's of Management in Labor and Social Security from Zhejiang University and earned a MPP from Georgetown University. With that, I hand it over to Vivian.
Hi, everyone. So first of all, thanks for having me here. And my name is Vivian Zheng. I'm a data scientist from the Urban Institute. So today, I would like to share how Urban uses the big data system to democratize access to the LED data. So first, a little bit brief introduction about the Urban Institute and our data science team. So the Urban Institute is a non-for-profit policy research organization in Washington, D.C., and we have 12 policy centers and with over 500 people, and we conduct a variety of different policy research. Some big areas are the metropolitan housing and the community policy, income and benefits policy, health policy, and education data policy. So for our data science team, we'll work very closely with the researchers across Urban to trying to apply the advanced data science technologies and the methods to help the researchers to make their work much more effective with data. So some of the examples are we use the, for example, we use the natural language processing method and technologies to analyze the land use reform news articles. And we also use the machine learning method to categorize the Twitter data information based on the research topics. And recently, we also introduced a lot of the cloud computing technologies and assistance to enable the researchers to process a huge amount of data within a short amount of time. So one of the primary goals for our data science team is to provide researchers easy and trusted access to data. So as we all know, the load data under the LEHD program is a really great and valuable sources for the researchers and the local governments. So a brief introduction about the load data. It contains very detailed spatial distribution of workers' employment and the residential locations and the relations between the two. And all the information are at the census block level, and it's state-based and contains, it's organized into 3 different types, including the residential area characteristics, workplace area characteristics, and origin destinations. And the Census Bureau put great effort into putting this data set together and make it public. And our work at Urban is trying to make the load data even more available and accessible to the researchers and Urban and also whoever who are interested in this data set. And the raw form of this loads data sets are in a set of over 75,000 CSV files. So normally the researchers will need to go to the loads website, manually download all the files, unzip them, and process them from there. So, but it can take a lot of time and also computer memory and the storage spaces to do that. So one of our goals at Urban Data Science team is to help simplify the data downloading processing for the researchers. And apart from the block level load data, the track and the place level load data is also very popular among the researchers at Urban because a lot of the policy research are conducted at the track and the place level. So the second goal for us is to summarize the block level load data to place and the track level and also make it public at Urban's data catalog. So Urban's data catalog is the central place where Urban published the data. And it's an open data portal launched by Urban last year, and everyone basically can go there and download the files that we publish. So next, I would like to go through the steps that we process the load data and the underlying technology that we used in this pipeline. So first, as I just mentioned, we want to automate downloading all the loads files. And then secondly, we would like to convert all the CSV files into the Parquet format. I will mention more in detail about what the Parquet format is. And then we will summarize all the block level data to the place and track level and make it available at Urban's data catalog. But internally at Urban, the researchers can also analyze the block level load data using the cloud clusters through Urban's big data system. I will also mention that in details later. So first, automate downloading the loads files. So if we go to the Census Bureau loads website, we can see this really user-friendly interface. And then under this download loads data, we can select the state we're interested in and the type of jobs we're interested in, and we can see a list of files will pop up here. And from there, we can manually download all the files that we're interested in. But the Census Bureau website also put up this really useful FTP program, which is a specific type of directory structure which allows us to use a Python script to automatically download all those files. So using this Python script, we can download all the loads files across all years and all states within several minutes. We also make this Python script public through our GitHub. So if you're interested, feel free to go to this GitHub link that I posted on the left side of the screen and go there. And we also provide the instructions and recommendations on how and where to run this Python scripts. And secondly, as I mentioned, that we want to convert the CSV files to the Parquet format. So for those who are not familiar with the Parquet format, it's essentially a compressed file system. It's kind of similar to the zip files that we usually use. It can help us save a lot of storage space. And the Parquet format is also in columnar storage format. It's a special storage format which makes the data read in and write out much faster. And now we have the Parquet version of the data. We want to summarize the block level data to the place and track level. So specifically, first we want to merge the load data with census geographic crossworks using the census block number, and then we will sum up the total number of workers in each block by the census track and place number. So as those who are familiar with the data manipulation, we know that in those two steps, especially the data merging and the data aggregation can be really computationally heavy, and our local computer may run out of the space and the memory if we want to process them locally. So really the technology that we use here that enable us to do this kind of big data processing is called cloud computing. So the cloud computing is different from the local computer that we usually use every day. It's provided by the cloud computing services. Some big ones are like Amazon Web Services or the Microsoft Azure. And the specific type of cloud computing techniques we use here is called cloud clusters. So cloud cluster, different from the one single computer that we usually use, it's a group of computers. And in a group of computers, there is a master node, and then the master node coordinates with different worker nodes, and they work together to make the processing much faster. And some of the other advantage of the cloud clusters is on demand, which means we don't need to buy the physical computers by ourselves. Whenever we want to use a cloud cluster, we just need to rent it online from the cloud computing providers. And once we are done using that, we just need to terminate it. And we are only charged by the time that we use it. And secondly, the cloud cluster will reduce the processing time significantly. For example, we had a project with our Health Policy Center at Urban, and it took our researchers to process the data. It took us, the researchers, 500 hours to process the data. And after we're moving everything to the cloud using the cloud cluster, it only took us 10 minutes to finish the whole thing. And the cloud cluster is also very cost-effective. It only costs us $2 per hour on average, and the total cost really depends on the amount of time that we use the cloud cluster and the number of worker nodes and the size of the cluster that we choose. And the cloud cluster is also very scalable. We can choose as many worker nodes as we want, and we are also able to spin up more than one cluster at the same time. And among all the programming languages that our researchers are familiar with, so far, the cloud cluster is compatible with programming language Python and R. So as I just mentioned, that after we summarize the block level load data to the place and check level, we put it on the Urban's data catalog. So if you go to datacatalog.urban.org and search for loads, you can find there 2 items will show up. And if you click any one of them, you can find multiple CSV files, as you can see from the screenshot on the right. So far, we processed the residential area characteristic and workplace area characteristic data files, and we also separate the all jobs and the federal jobs. And right now, the CSV files on the Urban's data catalog are at the track and the place level, which means they are much smaller than the files at the block level. So from here, the researchers can easily download those small CSV files, store them on their local computer, and read into whatever Excel or data programs that they're familiar with, and process the data from there. So as I just mentioned that we have this all cloud cluster set up, but we want not only people on our data science team be able to use it, but also the researchers at Urban can easily use that. So we set up the whole Urban's big data system, which enables the researchers easily programming using the language they're familiar with, but also take advantage of the cloud cluster. So we set up the system in a way that the researchers only need to go to an internal website and put down their email, and then choose the number of workers they need and submit the form. And within 5 to 10 minutes, they will get an internal email where is a link they can click to once they put in their username and password. An RStudio installed web interface will show up. So from here, the researchers can easily process the data using our programming language, but also within a cloud cluster environment. So here's an example of how people can take advantage of this environment. So for here, I read in a small subset of the loads data, and we can do some easy summary statistics from here. So for example, we can list all the column names here, and then we can count the number of rows in the data set. So we can see that even this is a really, really small subset of loads data, it contains over 31 million rows, which is super large and is almost unlikely to open such a big files in our local computer. And then we can even take a look at a subsample of this data set and get a sense of how each column looks like. And then from here, the researchers can do some custom analysis they want. For example, one of my coworkers, he summarized the load data to the zip level that he's interested in. And then the other coworker, he just subset the data to a specific area he's interested in. And from here, they can easily export the data and write out the CSV to their local computer. And then in terms of future work, we're definitely going to keep updating the load data as the new year or new types of load data came out. For example, last year when the new 2017 load data came out, we were really excited and immediately update the summary files on Urban's data catalog. And we are also thinking about including more job types for the residential and workplace area characteristics. And we are also open including the loads origin destination data in our Urban's data catalog. So for the Urban's data catalog in general, we're definitely very open about integrating more big data sets. Again, if you're interested, feel free to go to datacatalog.urban.org to find the data and download it for free that you're interested. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me.
Vivian, this is Erlene. There was a question that came in on the chat, and it says, would it be possible to have a realistic example of how to use this process as a demonstration for us?
So I guess the question is about how to use a cloud cluster, an example for use a cloud cluster. So here, if I go back to my presentation, so right here, I have a really brief example about how we can read in the data and process it. I didn't put much details on it, but if you're interested in, feel free to reach out to me, and I can show you a very detailed example about how we can process the data through our big data system.
If you would like to ask a question over the phone, please press *1 and you will be prompted to record your first and last name. Please unmute your phone when recording your name, and to withdraw your question, press *2. One moment, please.
So I have another question, Vivian, that came in on the chat. Is the Urban Data Catalog free to use, and do I need to register or log in to use it?
Yeah, so Urban's Data Catalog is an open data portal, and it's totally free, and everyone can go there and download the data files as they want.
We do have some questions on the phone. I have Ralph from Houston, Texas. I apologize if that's incorrect.
That is correct.
Your line is open.
My question. Yeah, I just wanted to know what is the link, where do we go to actually download a copy of this recording?
Sorry. So your question is where people can go to download the summary load file? Is that the question?
Yes.
Okay. So you can go to this link here. I don't know if you can still see the screen, but it's datacatalog.urban.org, and if you go there, you don't need to log in or register or anything. You just need to search loads, and you can find the loads summary files there. It's datacatalog.urban.org. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Our next question comes from Kurt. Your line is open.
Yeah, you've got information on where people live and where they work. I mean, could you, try to imagine everybody wants to carpool and see how well that might work as far as reducing traffic and how many would use it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I think for the residential, especially for the origin destination data from the loads data, it provides the information on where people work and live. And from there, I think there are great potential in analyzing how the carpool would work. Actually, I saw there's a research about carpool on this carpool topic using the loads data on loads official website, and you can check out from there. But
I mean, it seems that you could imagine how well this could possibly work.
At least I think we can basically analyze the distance between the where people live and where people work, and combined with some other data sets about like how the traffic is during their commute, and from there we can do some spatial analysis on how the carpool would work. If you're interested, I can connect you with some other metropolitan policy experts at Urban, and we can dig into more details about this topic.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Ellen. Your line is open.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm just doing this for the first time, and I'm trying to become a 2020 census member. And on my screen, if I want to join the chat, is that enabled or is it not? Thank you.
Sorry, I can't really hear the question very clearly. Would you mind repeating that?
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm trying to join the chat, and I'm interested in becoming a 2020 census taker. Can you hear me sufficiently?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I'm in the webinar, and how do I access the chat, or is there no chat to get this presentation? And thank you.
So, ma'am, if you just refer to the usajobs.com, that'll help you for this. This is entirely different or separate from.
Yes, I was just introducing myself. I do have some experience in this area, and I was invited to join the webinar, so I will just continue listening, and thank you.
All right. Thank you for your question.
You're very welcome.
Our next question comes from Ronald. Your line is open.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to know, but if my question has been answered, someone asked a question about getting the data, and so I'm going to go to data catalog, urban.org, and go under loads. So that answered my question. Thank you.
Our next question comes from, I believe it's Gregan. Your line is open.
Thank you. The files in CSV, the question is regarding them. Is it required to change the format to Parquet, or can they be downloaded in Excel format?
Yeah, so the Parquet format is optional. You can totally download directly from CSV. You can totally directly using the CSV file and open the CSV file from the Excel, data, Python, and within whatever programming that you're familiar with. The reason that we convert to Parquet is that we're going to analyze that using the cloud cluster, so it's a preferred format for the cloud cluster system. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, please press *1 to ask a question. One moment.
So, Vivian, I have a couple questions that have come in on the chat.
Okay.
One of the questions is regarding the timeline to add the OD data.
So we're planning, if people are interested in the original Destiny summary files, we can totally add it to Urban's data catalog, and we can do it, I think, within a couple of months, I think, yeah.
Another question is, how current is the data?
So I think the data is most updated right now. The latest 2017 data came out last August, I think, and we updated last August. Yeah.
We do have a question online as well. Roy, your line is open.
Thank you. I was impressed with the presentation, but I had one question. How authentic is going to be the data before we put it into the cloud cluster anywhere?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
How authentic is going to be the data that is going to be collected?
You mean how big is the data before we put into the cloud cluster? Is that a question?
No. How authentic is going to be the data? And if it is not authentic, how are you going to make it authentic to put it as authentic?
Sorry, I think you kind of break up. I can't really hear it, but feel free to shoot me an email about the questions. Yeah, thank you. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I'm showing no further questions at this time.
All right, I have a couple questions. One is, what are the ways people have used these tools and data from the portal?
I think, so at Urban, the researchers have been using the load data, the tract level load summary file to analyze the neighborhood economies, and also using the load data to analyze the carpool and transportation issues. If you're interested, you can go to Urban Institute's website and to see our researchers on that. Thank you.
Another question is, can this be used in conjunction with CTPP data?
Sorry, I'm not that familiar with the CTPP data. But I think if that data contains the geographic information, for example, the census block number, census tract, and the place ID, we can easily merge that data set with the load data set. Yeah.
There was another question, which I think you've already answered, about how much info can I find out about my neighbor? I think it means neighborhood from this data. And, you know, I saw that you said you can analyze the neighborhood's economy, and we can look at transportation and commuting patterns, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I think the data also contains information about the employee's age, race, and other demographic information. So I think we can dig into that part as well.
Great. And then how large are the data gigabytes that we can download from datacatalog.urban.org?
I think in terms of the summary files, we can see that for example, in the tract level summary files, there are 8 CSV files, and each CSV files are only several hundred megabytes. So it's totally feasible to download all the files to a local computer. Yeah.
Another question is, any particular resources / recommendations for tutorials for how to get started with cloud computing with R?
Yeah, I think there's a cloud computing teaching website, tutorial website called A Cloud Guru, and you can go there and take the lessons to learn how to get speed with the cloud computing services. Yeah.
Another question is, will the data in the catalog be the most up-to-date? Are the files presently available through 2015 or 2017?
Yes, the summary files on data catalog is the most updated right now, and it's through 2002 to 2017.
Here's another. CTTP is similar but based on a survey sample and is at the TAS level. Loads data is based on payroll data. I think that's a statement. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Again, I'm not that familiar with the CTPP data. I need to do more research on that, but feel free to shoot me an email. We can talk about that in details.
Vivian, also in the chat, they're asking about your contact information.
Okay. So my email is szheng@urban.org. szheng@urban.org. So feel free to shoot me emails, and we can talk everything more about in details.
Operator, are there any more questions on the line?
We did have some questions come in. Roy, your line is open.
Thank you. And I apologize earlier for the miscommunication due to breaking up. My question is, how authentic is going to be the data collected?
So I think you're asking about the data collection process?
Yes, the authenticity of data.
So what we do is we directly download the loads files, the original raw format CSV files from the loads official website, and we did not change anything about the raw log level loads data. So I think it's pretty authentic, and then we keep everything as it is before we do all the analysis.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Welcome.
Our next question comes from Madisha. Your line is open.
Yes, hi. I did not get the email, so if you could please type it, so, if you need to call or email. And also, I work for a city. What data is available at the city level? And how do you access it? I mean, is it available at block level or block group levels? Because the tracts are bigger than the cities.
Yeah, I think, so one thing you can do is you can directly go to the loads website and download the state-based loads files and do some processing from there to extract the city-level information by ourselves. I think at this point we can only provide the load summary files by the census tract and the census place level. But I think for the next step, we're open to providing the city level loads data summary files if it will help with your research and analysis.
Absolutely. So what do you mean by place?
I think in the Census Bureau's geographic crossworks, there is a census place ID.
Right.
Yeah, we basically use that to aggregate our data. Mm-hmm.
Okay. In some cases, it's similar to the city, so I guess I need to go see if we do have that level of data. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Could you please type in your email because it wasn't clear to me?
Sure. Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm showing no further questions.
Vivian, could you also type in the address for where they can learn how to use the cloud data again?
Okay, sounds good.
And just to answer the question that was just previously asked about the loads data goes all the way down to the block level.
Yes, that's right.
All right, if there are no further questions, I'd like to take this time to just say thank you to Vivian for her very informative and sophisticated presentation. Also, thank you to the audience for joining us this afternoon. Join us next month, Wednesday, March 18th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when Andrew Foote presents Using National Jobs Data to Measure Graduate Impacts. Until then, enjoy the rest of your day.